what happens when tenants can't pay their rent in this current climate? I mean, what's kind of the what's the response out there right now from a legal perspective?
Well, it's a very unfortunate situation we're running into, and I'm hearing more and more about my clients who particularly have residential properties that they rent out to tenants, and the tenants lost their jobs or whatever the circumstances due to COVID-19 and aren't able to pay their rent. Historically, if a tenant didn't pay their rent, you'd move towards the tenant board to deal with an eviction. Well, right now, you can't evict tenants. That is frozen in the province. So all you can do is try to work with your tenant, maybe see if they'll make a partial payment of rent, or explain to them that the rent, even if you don't pay it now, it doesn't mean that that debt disappears. You still owe the money, and you can incur some interest. I also think the province is putting something together that if you would have been able to evict a tenant, that you can get some money back from the province for the delay in the eviction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tough time for landlords right now.
Yeah, yeah. And another question that's come up as well is somebody has purchased the investor's home and there's a tenant in, and come closing, the tenant is self-isolating, and they don't provide vacant possession to the buyer. I mean, what happens in that case like that?
Well, there's no simple answer to something like that. Right now, if the party is self-isolating or they're have COVID and they're self-isolating because they have COVID, this is a provincial or federal requirement that they cannot leave the home. So if these people leave the home, they'll be breaking the law, and you can't induce someone to break the law. So I think in those circumstances, the best resolution is for the buyer and the seller to work out a short extension till after that isolation period is completed. So you make sure no one is breaking the law, and no one is terribly prejudiced by the situation.
Okay, great. So if you're a homeowner and have any other questions about managing your tenants, I know during this period there's lots of questions. Direct message us, and we're definitely here to help to answer any questions you may have.